Hey guys, right here, Marie's husband. So just gonna do a little video on how to grow asparagus in Utah or the Rocky Mountains Midwest. We're at about 4,300 feet elevation here, and it's April 18th, and this is our first crop of asparagus. You can look at it here. Some of these got too long. I probably shouldn't have let them get this long because the first part of the asparagus is really tender, and as you get down to the bottom, it's more chewy and stringy, not as good eating. So I usually cut them off when they're about this long, maybe, I don't know how long that is. What is that, 12 inches or so? About as long as you get them in the store, maybe a little bit longer. But so in Utah, we've been doing this for like 5 years now, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but roots, we tried with the root stock for asparagus that you buy at the nursery. They have a refrigerator and they have a bunch of like little roots. So we put roots in here and they didn't really take very well for us. And so we ended up buying really expensive asparagus seeds from Burpees, I think it was, the website. They might have been like $1 a seed. Can't remember the exact brand, but it was the expensive seeds, the most expensive seeds they had for like Midwest. And so we ended up going with the seeds. So before I planted the seeds, before I planted the roots, what I ended up doing is digging out this trench really deep. Maybe I dug it like this deep, maybe 18 inches. And then I put some mulch, some leaves, a little bit of ash, just a lot of good nutrients in there, so these roots had a lot of food instead of just like the clay soil that we have around here, which is really bad soil. And also these asparagus do like soil that drains very well. So asparagus, if you notice in the wild, they grow near beds of riverbeds, like sandy soil. So there's good draining soil there.
Yeah.
And then when I planted the seeds, I put one seed every foot. So this is I believe this is like a 20-foot row. So I had 20 seeds in there. Now, if you come in here, now the first year, there was a little patch of asparagus that started to grow, similar to this, maybe a little smaller, a little tiny patch. And then on the second year, I didn't harvest anything, obviously, because it was too small. And the second year, it started getting a little bit bigger, like this. Maybe I had one like this. And I didn't harvest anything on that year. But then on the third year, I was able to harvest just a couple of them. And so it didn't take like 4 years, like some people say. I think on the third year, I was able to harvest some asparagus. And now we have a whole bunch. But let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, so these started popping up probably a month ago. So we're gonna harvest this for maybe another month. And so they're gonna start growing really fast here. So that even though they started growing a month ago, they're really gonna be growing really fast. So we'll be able to eat asparagus probably maybe twice a week for the next month. Might be getting sick of it by then, but we give it to the neighbors.
And how do you know which stalks you're supposed to cut and which ones you leave?
Yeah, so I only harvest the large stalks. Anything smaller than a pencil, like see these small ones, I leave those because they're not going to supply much food, and they're going to help keep the plant. If you cut everything down, then it won't come next year. You need to leave some for next year. So after a month or 6 weeks from now, so 6 to 8 weeks from when you first see it starting to come up, I think it's maybe 6 weeks to 10 weeks when you start seeing them come up, you don't want to harvest anything. So when the growth starts to slow, you eventually want to even let the large asparagus continue to grow. And then so they'll grow, and you don't harvest anything. It'll grow into like a big fern, maybe this high, and there'll be some little seeds that drop, and you don't harvest those. But then the fall will come and into winter, and the asparagus will start turning white. So all that nutrients, I believe, it goes back into the soil. So once it turns white, then go ahead and cut it. Don't cut it while it's green. So once it turns white, you can go ahead and cut it, or just leave it to the spring. And I think the white asparagus ferns can maybe provide a little more insulation to the roots so they don't freeze. Some people cut it down, add like a little layer of leaves to keep it so there's not like a really deep frost on the ground. But I've just really just let it, this last year I didn't put any leaves. I just actually let it go to the fern, and up until the spring I just let everything stay as the white fern state. And maybe in like March I just cut all these ferns down. There's still some remnants. This is from last year. Actually, that might just be a weed. But yeah, there's some white ferns here that I just cut them down. I could cut them down in maybe early March. Just cut everything down, and that just allows the new growth to come. And then I don't have a lot of brush here, and now I could harvest them. So you can just snip them off like this, or you just use a kitchen knife, cut them off, and that's really tender. So that's perfect. So we're gonna have asparagus tonight for dinner. What else? Miss anything else?
No, I'll take a video of you.
And what the favorite thing I like about asparagus is you can actually start harvesting from your garden early. So I could harvest from my garden, mainly just asparagus, for the next 6 weeks or so, while I'm waiting for my other sections of the garden to grow. So nothing's really growing now, but we can harvest asparagus.